Firefighters promised to protect us, even knowing that the risk involved the chance of cancer. And we've let them down. An oil and gas company is making mass layoffs here, but be cautious of the claims that Colorado's new regulations are to blame. The world's most famous voice on climate is coming to Denver, and she wants your kids to join her. There's more to the story about a massive reservoir expansion. Our thanks to you for asking us to take a second look. And the last time Denver saw a cold snap this severe, the Broncos got a kick out of it. An incredible kick. That's next.
So it's going to get cold and it's going to snow. So here is a newscast worth of stories in 5 seconds. Plows are ready. Cover your plants. Drive slow. Now how about the news? Firefighters have been dying of cancer long before we ever really started studying cancer in firefighters. Our Anusha Roy has been weaving their stories together. And what you see is a picture of how we have failed our first responders.
You can still be a macho firefighter and have clean gear, and it's evolving fairly quickly.
Former South Metro Ops Chief Troy Jackson has been candid about his terminal cancer, knowing he's not alone. North Metro Fire lost Craig Mullinen in 2015. Mike Freeman with South Metro died from brain cancer in 2017. And last year, Aaron Leibarger died from stomach cancer, most likely connected to his response to the World Trade Center on 9/11.
To lose a fellow firefighter from my own agency really hits home.
The answer as to why cancer is the culprit so many times is still evading firefighters. Captain Travis Hopwood says research only took off in the last couple of years.
Actually, the 9/11 responders really had a lot to contribute to that.
That also means the studies are behind, even though cancer is the #1 reason a firefighter dies. Last month, 200 out of the 250 names added to the International Fallen Firefighters Memorial died because of job-related cancer. Since 2005, 17 Colorado names have been added to that list.
But is it products of combustion? Is it a skin cancer? Is it a sleep deprivation thing?
My lifelong dream.
David Foster is with the International Association of Firefighters. He said carcinogens are an obvious factor, but which chemicals are the most dangerous and when firefighters are the most vulnerable are questions still being looked into.
This is brain cancer and kidney cancer and prostate cancer in some of our younger firefighters.
Fire departments like West Metro have changed their protocol to reduce exposure to carcinogens.
Unfortunately, the fire service historically kind of turned a blind eye to it because it was a sad truth of the profession.
So new recruits are walking into a new culture.
I've seen a drastic shift.
They hope will change what's in their future.
So interestingly enough, firefighters have also had to look at their own gear and what was being used to make it flame resistant. They were worried that if in the high heat it was releasing some kind of chemical that they might be inhaling or getting into their skin. So some of these departments have already also started swapping that out as well.
So chemicals that were stored in buildings, their own suits, what else are they looking at?
Yeah, so one of the things that they're also looking at are building materials. They've changed over the years, and if they're burning, they're wondering, again, what are they inhaling? What are they getting into their body? And they're kind of in this interesting situation where they know there are all these factors, but the research hasn't quite caught up, so they're still trying to get in there and make the changes to the best of their knowledge.
Meanwhile, an alarm goes off somewhere, and off they go.
And they will.
All right. Thank you, Anusha. Halliburton is laying off employees in Colorado, so many that the oilfield service company filed a mass layoff notice with the state. 178 jobs being cut at a facility in Grand Junction. Now, critics of oil and gas regulations implemented by Democrats in Colorado are already blaming those new rules for these layoffs. That is a little tough to square with the fact that the Halliburton layoffs are also simultaneously happening in Wyoming, in New Mexico, and in North Dakota. And blaming a law that's just now being rolled out in Colorado is even more strange when you consider that Halliburton has actually been laying off workers for a while now, including an 8% workforce cut across North America earlier this year. That dates back to an oil price crash late in 2018. But while critics of the new oil and gas rules are blaming them for the layoffs amid low oil prices, environmental groups are suing state regulators, saying the new rules are not being strictly enforced. Colorado Rising says that state regulators are still approving new permits under the old, more permissive rules. Their lawsuit says the regulations don't comply with the law passed by Democrats and signed by Governor Polis. That law requires more of an emphasis on health and safety. The lawsuit claims that a company filed a permit for a drilling site near Broomfield without notifying homeowners or getting their permission. State regulators have said all along that they're not going to pause new permits while they rewrite the rules. An oil industry group called the lawsuit a petulant stunt and said that environmental group Colorado Rising just wants to ban energy development. Aurora Police Chief Nick Metz is retiring after 36 years in law enforcement. 36 years of seeing things that most people don't have to see. And he's looking ahead to how he can use his retirement years to support the mental health of first responders.
Some of those who have been in the profession for a long time kind of had the attitude, you know, you just got to suck it up. You know, just it's part of the job. If you can't handle it, if you can't stand the heat, get out of the kitchen, kind of thing. And so we're finally, I think, starting to make that topic and that discussion a much more frequent narrative. We have to take care of our people. Our people are the...
Chief Metz is planning to go back to school to get his master's in counseling and to work with first responders who go through critical incidents. His wife is in that same field. The most famous climate change activist in the world is coming to Denver on Friday to lead a youth strike. The city asked organizers how many people they expect, and they were told could be a lot. Greta Thunberg, the 16-year-old activist from Sweden who just made headlines as she chastised world leaders at the United Nations, is going to be speaking at this strike in Denver. The city is expecting as many as 5,000 people, presumably many of them kids, to come to Civic Center Park. There was controversy in New York City when school leaders there gave all 1.1 million public school students permission to go to the youth climate strike with Thunberg. So no punishment in New York City for school absences. Denver Public Schools tells me it does not do blanket permission for kids to skip class, but as always, individual parents can choose to opt their students out for the day. All right, so if we're going to shade DIA for its mess of a Great Hall renovation, it's only fair that we give the airport credit for a project that is on time and on budget. The $1.5 billion gate expansion project kicked off last summer with lots of clapping and a party and the dogs and cats, the support animals at the airport. DIA says as of today, it's finished the frame needed for the new Concourse B gates. 39 new gates when the project is done in 2021. As I said, so far, on time, on schedule. But about that Great Hall construction project, it's still in limbo as the fired contractor, Great Hall Partners, puts its stuff in a box and leaves. DIA spokeswoman says the contractors have to be out of the building by November 11th. DIA is already interviewing for their replacements to see who can complete phase 1 of the renovation project. They aim to pick a new contractor within the next 2 months and start work early next year.
Our next question comes from a viewer named Michael. He's curious about whether this incoming storm is going to bring the largest 24-hour temperature swing in Denver history. And Michael asks, if not, what was?
Michael, that is a very good question for our meteorologist, Corey Reppenhagen.
Colorado weather is as indecisive as it gets, and those mood swings can be tough to tolerate. Today, a sunny disposition. Tomorrow, really grumpy with ice in her veins. So yeah, fair question, Michael. The answer, though, is a little complex. We calculated what the 24-hour change could be. Looks like DIA topped out at 83 degrees this afternoon. The lowest temp over the next 24 hours is forecast to be 23 degrees at 10 a.m. tomorrow. That's a 60-degree swing. But hold up, the National Weather Service only keeps records from midnight to midnight. So you have to back the temperature up to the forecast 34 degrees at midnight, and you get a difference of 48 degrees. That swing wouldn't make the top 20 list of records, but it could be one of the coldest October swings we've ever had. The National Weather Service also has records for 2-day temperature swings. If we go from that high of 83 today down to the forecast low of 13 degrees on Friday morning, we get a 70-degree mood swing. That would be the biggest 2-day change ever recorded in October, and it would be tied for the second biggest all time, just topping the December 4th, 2013 record. That cold snap lasted a few days, going right into Broncos Sunday.
It's cold outside!
A game-time temp of 10 degrees at Mile High didn't stop the Broncos from blasting the Titans. Coincidentally, the Titans are coming back to town this Sunday following a record temperature swing. It should be about 70 degrees at kickoff this time. Meteorologist Corey Reppenhagen for Next.
Speaking of records, who recognized that Broncos kick as one? That was Matt Prater's NFL record-tying 64-yard field goal right after that big old temperature swing. So now we know that the football goes farther at altitude, but the cold actually takes a bit of distance off of the ball. Our viewer's original question asked about the largest 24-hour temperature swing. If we're being accurate, the National Weather Service marks its records in 48-hour increments. They say that's a more accurate way to measure a storm's impact. And they didn't do that hour-by-hour temperature tracking until 1994.
Did you take a shower today? Yeah, me too. Were you grateful for it? Yeah, me neither.
Having access to resources became just paramount in our existence.
Her experience with homelessness made her intent on helping other people get the necessities. Winter is coming, and judging by this, people still don't understand Colorado's new traction law. That's next.
Denver Water's big plans to expand Gross Reservoir Dam near Boulder are not going to happen without court approval. That was a good catch by a next viewer named Neil, who saw our story last night on CSU building this enormous indoor waterfall to figure out how the enlarged dam would work. Denver Water needs federal approval for this, and the agency thinks it'll get it by the end of the year. Gross Reservoir is southwest of Boulder, and Boulder County's land use office wants the project to get approvals at the local level, where they could consider the environmental impact on the county. Denver Water's asking the courts to decide if that's necessary. It did say that if they do have to go through Boulder County, they have an application ready.
It's getting a little crazy in Denver. It's 45 degrees in Fort Collins and 75 degrees this hour in Aurora. And look at this. Looks like a Saharan desert situation with a dust storm out there. That's the front. A front that is bringing 40 to 50 to 60 mile per hour winds just outside our studios here. Now, if you have travel plans in DIA in and out of the airport, winds to 55 miles per hour this hour, winds to 64 miles per hour in Aurora. This is a powerful storm coming through. It's still dry, but that wind can do some damage. And just know, we're going to be dealing with this for several hours. Our high today at 83, the fire danger extreme, but the leading edge of that front already bringing some much needed precipitation to the northwestern corner of the state. Winter weather and travel advisories have gone out. Here we're going to see increasing clouds and wind with freezing drizzle before midnight, all snow after midnight, light snow, 1 to 3 inches of snow for the morning drive with 3 to 6 in the mountains, a freeze warning for Denver tonight, a winter weather advisory tomorrow. The snow tapers off late in the day from north to south, but it will be a record cold morning with temperatures in the mid-teens on Friday. So there's your snow forecast, and for tonight, freeze warning, windy and colder, low 23, freezing drizzle, snow after midnight, snow off and on all day, ending late in the day, record cold tomorrow night, clearing out Friday, warming up for the weekend, and temperatures back close to 70 degrees when our Broncos take the field on Sunday. But Kyle, 45 in Fort Collins and 75 in Aurora this hour.
Kathy, thank you. CDOT is trying to get you to pay attention to our state's new traction law, what with winter blowing in. And they're getting some backup from the State Patrol. So State Patrol is thinking that some of you are visual learners, so they're out with a new video today. We told you that today was going to be the day that they start their full court press trying to get people to comply with the new traction law. They're hoping for compliance rather than tickets in this first year, but the fact is state law will allow them to ticket people who cause crashes that block traffic, especially on I-70 in the mountains. Life on the streets can be indescribably difficult, as in difficult to describe to someone who has not been there. Sharon Ritchie has.
Trying to find a shower it's something extremely difficult.
And that is why she has now dedicated herself to helping others solve that problem. I'm guessing you think of your daily shower as something that you have to do, not something that you get to do. For the people who consider a shower a luxury, there's a shower on wheels that has rolled into Denver. Our Byron Reed caught up with it.
Sometimes all it takes to have hope is an opportunity to feel a little comfort.
I have always had a successful life. I 22 years in mortgage banking, big career, owned homes, you know, and it just, things spiral out of control much faster than you realize.
Sharon Ritchie and her son experienced homelessness for about 2 years.
Because of a domestic violence situation, and so my son and I unfortunately ended up on the streets.
Starting out in an emergency shelter situation.
That constant being on edge, you know, worried about safety, being a woman, a single mom, you know, that's something that really was a big conflict for me, something that I really had to have courage and confront, you know, head on.
Can we get people's attention?
Sharon now helps run programs for a division of Bayard Enterprises, an organization that helped her get back on her feet.
I'm into permanent housing now through Denver Housing Authority, and you know, my son and I, you know, have a safe place. He's doing well in middle school, and you know, things have really turned around for us based on, you know, having opportunities like this.
Hey, all right.
Opportunities like the launching of a new mobile shower truck to serve the homeless community. The truck has 2 wheelchair-accessible shower stalls with sinks and mirrors included.
Having a clean body, it gives you such a renewal, you know, being able to know that, you know, you got the grime out from under your nails for a day, you know, that you can present yourself for a job opportunity.
Ritchie says she's happy to work for a group providing for those in need to help them rebuild confidence and get a fresh start.
Someone experiencing houselessness is not necessarily what you commonly think. You know, it's someone who, just like myself, you know, goes through a bad patch, and, you know, things spiral out of your control much quicker than you think.
For Next.
And this is our solution to, you know, helping provide some comfort.
I'm Byron Reed.
Bayard Enterprises custom built that truck for $50,000, mostly donations. And Bayard says the shower truck will be staffed by people with disabilities or people who have experienced homelessness themselves. The official launch of the project is Tuesday morning. The truck's going to be parked outside Bayard's offices in the Baker neighborhood. So that's the first public shower service being offered in Denver. The city started a mobile public restroom project 3 years ago. Those bathrooms are parked permanently at Colfax in Pennsylvania. The city rents that restroom vehicle from Liberty Waste Management. That lease project is up in December. You will get the final word with your feedback next. Ah, yes, remembering brighter days. Hold those images closely to you tomorrow. We finished with your feedback. Dave writes in to say, thank you for your story regarding firefighter cancer. Dave says, I've been a Denver firefighter for 25 years, healthy for now, keeping my fingers crossed. Cannot imagine going through wondering whether your job is making you sick every day. Thank you for your service to our community, Dave. And Ralph writes in to say, so, ties and a nice jacket 2 days in a row. Hope you're not interviewing and leaving next.